Hello, everybody. This time I want to attack William Lane Craig, perhaps the most prominent apologist among the Christians. This is how Craig resolves the notorious Euthyphro dilemma.
Euthyphro argument, which asks, is it moral because God says so, or does God say so because it's moral? And I think that's a false dilemma. I think the correct answer is to say that it's moral because that's the way God is. God's commands, which constitute our moral duties, are based upon His moral nature, which is essentially kind, loving, generous, just, and so forth. And this is the middle way through this Euthyphro dilemma.
The first time I heard this, I thought this was quite ad hoc and smelled fishy, but I could not exactly point out what was wrong with its logic. To begin with, you have to know God's nature first to use it as an argument. You cannot just add a new feature to His list of features when you need one. So you have to be able to say that God is all good and that there is no badness in Him. But to be able to say that, you should have a measure stick outside of God to which you compare God's attributes. No Christian claims to know any such yardstick. To me, this is not even the biggest problem, though. The real problem with William Lane Craig's apology is that its logic fails big time. Follow my line of thought now. Premise 1. For goodness to mean anything, there must be freedom of choice. Christians agree with this wholeheartedly. Premise 2. Goodness is God's property. Premise 3. Goodness in the world is God's goodness that came to be a property of the world when God created it. Premise 4. Anything God does is good. Premise 5. Because God is the measure stick of goodness, He cannot do anything bad or wrong. 6. The conclusion. Premise 5 contradicts Premise 1. God has no freedom of choice between good and bad. This means that God cannot be described as good or bad. These terms do not apply to God. This means that Craig shoots himself into his own foot. Trying to save God as an explanation for morality, he has managed to destroy the basis for the absolute morality, God's morality. Thank you and bye.